In case y'all are unaware who this person is on your screen, this is Andy Dick. Now, this is a person who has been around for many, many years. Like, he was really at the height of his own fame probably back in the early 2000s because he was pretty much like everywhere. And I think he even had his own show. He appeared in a couple of television shows and maybe a couple of movies as well. Like, at the time, Andy Dick was very, very, very popular. But then over the years, his popularity started to dim. And then he just became even more weird. But like I said, I've always thought Andy Dick was weird even back then as a teenager or a preteen. And his weirdness has literally led him into the position he's in right now. Now, this is a story that I was aware of. I didn't really make too many videos about it, but it didn't mean I wasn't aware of what was going on with him. Now, the story I'm about to bring to you, I purposely and intentionally did not jump onto the news that recently came out about him because I wanted to see if lamestream media was going to harp on him the same way they did Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Trey Songz, and many other black men that they've come and accused of or gone after in a very intense way when it comes to sexual assault in any capacity. And they didn't. Just like I already knew that they wouldn't. Now, several articles have popped up in the last week or so concerning what happened with Andy Dick and him being sentenced to 90 days in jail for a case in which he groped somebody and him having to register as a sex offender. Now, you would think that would have been everywhere. But it's not. It was only relegated to the internet, and it did not even trend on places such as Twitter. That is not by accident. That is no coincidence either. It was very intentional to keep this as under wraps as they possibly could. I'm just surprised that he even got any time at all, and to top it off, has to register as a sex offender. But he only got 90 days, 3 months. 3 months, not 3 years, 3 months, 90 days. So I'm going to go ahead and read this part of this article. Well, read this article coming from the Los Angeles Times. It says Andy Dick was sentenced to 90 days in jail in groping case and must register as a sex offender. And it was posted November 15th, 2022. Andy Dick was sentenced to 90 days in jail in Los Angeles County Jail after a jury found him guilty of groping an Uber driver in West Hollywood in 2018. Now, peep this. This happened 2 years before Woovick kicked off. He just got sentenced to 90 days in jail. How many people out there listening to this video or watching this video even knew that this case existed or even knew that Andy Dick did what he did? I kind of heard about it, but they didn't push it out there like that. And guess what? In 2018, Me Too was still going strong. Me Too was still going strong at that time. But you know what Creative Face Crunch Bar said, it's not my job to go after PC men. At a hearing last week at the Los Angeles Superior Court Airport Courthouse, the comedian and actor was also sentenced to 12 months of summary probation upon release from jail and must register as a sex offender, according to Greg Riesling, spokesman for the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office. He is also required to pay restitution to the victim and was ordered to complete 52 Alcoholics Anonymous sessions, 52 Sexual Compulsion Anonymous sessions, and 12 counseling sessions, Riesling wrote in an emailed statement. The comic is expected to surrender to authorities Thursday at the airport courthouse, which I'm sure he's already done, to begin his jail sentence, Riesling said. Dick's attorney, Daniel Kapilovitz, that last name just screams them folks, said he plans to appeal the case but declined to comment further. When Dick pleaded not guilty to the charge in 2019, Kapilovitz called the allegations against Dick completely baseless. During a 2-week trial in June, jurors weighed the accusations of a rideshare driver who said Dick had grabbed his genitals during an Uber ride in West Hollywood in 2018. And I think it was pretty obvious that we all knew that Andy Dick was a part of the Academy. I kind of figured that even back then, but people really wasn't making a big deal about it, even though back then it was almost completely taboo compared to now. So I'm curious, what do people in the Academy have to say about this, or do they agree with that as well? They delivered a guilty verdict for 1 count of misdemeanor and sexual battery, the district attorney's office said. Dick's history of assault allegations stretched back several decades, including arrests on suspicion of felony domestic violence last November in Los Angeles and suspicion of felony sexual battery out of Orange County in May. It was unclear whether Los Angeles police planned to file charges in the 2021 incident, but prosecutors in Orange County dropped their case after they said the victim refused to cooperate with authorities, the OC Register reported. Just last month, Andy Dick, who's 56, was arrested in Santa Barbara on suspicion of stealing power tools, according to a report in People magazine. I want, I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm not even going to ask, but I'm going to just leave that alone. But I'm sure some of you will probably wonder what in the world, what kind of power tools you buying. But let me continue. In 2019, a New Orleans man who Dick had accused of assault claimed the comedian had groped and winked at him first, allegedly prompting him to sucker punch the comic, knocking him unconscious for 15 minutes. In 2018, the news video veteran longtime girlfriend was granted a restraining order against him in Los Angeles after a domestic violence claim. That same year, Dick pleaded no contest to lewd conduct and battery for allegedly squeezing a woman's buttocks and making lewd comments while passing her on a Studio City street. He struck a plea deal for the incident and avoided jail time. Another case settled in 2013 involved Dick allegedly flashing his penis in a Dallas comedy club and rubbing his genitals in a male patron's face. And in 2008, he was arrested in a drug and battery case in which he allegedly fondled a teen at Marietta, California eatery. Now you see how this guy has all of this stuff that's going back for many, many years. And he managed to get out of that unscathed every single time until now, when they finally get him. Again, he only gets 3 months. Dick's comic career starting in the late 1980s, which I really was unaware of because, well, clearly at the late 1980s, depending on what part of the late 1980s, I was either born or still not a part of this world yet, has been colored by his unpredictable behavior. He found fame with several roles on MTV, including The Ben Stiller Show and his own short-lived series, The Andy Dick Show. He was also known for his controversial appearances on Comedy Central Roast. After a 2007 appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, he ended with security dragging Dick from the set after he repeatedly tried to kiss Ivanka Trump. During the shoot without her consent, Kimmel told Hollywood.com that Dick always makes me a little uncomfortable. You have no idea what he's going to do next. So this guy is just a perv in every sense of the word. This guy literally has harassed men and women over the years. But like I said, I've always felt that Andy Dick was in the Academy somewhere in the spectrum, in that realm somewhere, in that bubble, to me. Because he just always came off that way. But nothing ever in my mind told me that this man was mentally stable. Like when I look at him and hear him talk and hear some of the stuff that he says, or a lot of the stuff that he said in the past, I say, yeah, this guy definitely is off by a lot. There's an imbalance there in his brain somewhere where he just doesn't function like a regular, normal human being. So when I read all of that, couple that with what recently has happened to him, I'm not shocked or surprised in the least bit. He's always just struck me as a weirdo to me. And I'm sure many of you who have seen him in action know that or feel that same exact sentiment as I do when it comes to his personality. He's out there. But when I read all of that, which I just read, because I didn't know anything about this, because it's not like Andy Dick is a person on my radar by any means. And you see and read everything that he has done over the years. Now they can only say allegedly because of course, none of that stuff was actually proven. But then you see the stuff that he just got found guilty for, and you look back on his history, it's a very strong possibility that he could have done that. But because of, good lawyers and the obvious, he's able to get away from that. Things can be settled out of court. So, and when I usually hear people say that a victim allegedly doesn't cooperate, that means they're either trying to shake them down or they paid them off. So there it is. But yeah, like I said, I intentionally waited to touch on this because I wanted to see how long it would be before mainstream media actually picked this up. And by the time this video goes up, you probably still will be unaware about what happened with Andy Dick, as far as him getting a 90-day jail sentence and him having to register as a sex offender. For many of you, you probably don't even care, or this is your first time hearing about it. I mean, it's in its entirety when it comes to him. But that's mainstream media for you.